So, hi Aarti, thank you so much for joining us for a very candid and a very interesting conversation for our magazine Ibarat by Baatein. It's wonderful to have you joining us from Australia. Before I begin and before I start, I would say badgering you with questions. Would you like to tell us about what you do, who you are, apart from already being a very, I would say, inspiring lady? But just if you would be able to explain what you do in your own words, it would be great for all of us.
Thank you, Chhaya, for having me on this platform. It's absolutely my pleasure to be here. One of the most difficult questions for me to answer is describe yourself, because I myself don't know who I am. I'm always in a constant, evolving state. But if I had to put myself in just a phrase or just a word, I'd say I'm just a wild dreamer. That's all who I am. And that's what my production company is called as well, Dreamer Productions. My name is Aarti Bajaj, which is quite conflicting because, I didn't ever, this never, it never happened to me. Like, I never thought about it. I just thought my name's Aarti Bajaj until, I started the company and we went on social media, and then I have a verified account on Instagram. And suddenly I started getting tagged in many posts, and in the movie posts or whatever. Yes, I am into entertainment industry, and I'm an actor and theater director. But then suddenly it then dawned on me that, oh my God, of course, there's Aarti Bajaj, the editor in India. And it's so funny that, I don't know how to describe this, but I am Aarti Bajaj from Australia, who is basically from India, but I live in Australia, and I am an artist, and I'm also a medical professional. I did my physio from India, then we migrated to Australia in 2007. Since then, I have done a few degrees like postgrad in medical ultrasound, masters in medical ultrasound, and I've been working as a medical imaging person, as a medical sonographer here in radiology practice. That's just one side of my brain. The other side is the wild brain, which is the artist brain. I've done my Visharad in India for Bharatnatyam, and I've started two companies here. One's called Wild Dreamer Productions, and one is Nine Expression Performing Arts. So Nine Expression Performing Arts is a company, something similar to your company like Baatein, but more of a performing arts. So anything to do with arts, that's a platform where we do workshops, we do sessions, classes, not just for Indian classical or Indian contemporary dancing or acting, but also any form. Arts doesn't need to be in boxes. That's where, so we give the academic or the learning side of the arts. It's what that company controls. And Wild Dreamer Productions is the platform where we bring that to life for the wider audience. So we do original works. So we create original theatre, original musicals. Eventually, now we moving into screen as well. So we will soon start, hopefully, fingers crossed, short films and web series, and let's see how the resources go into that as well. So Wild Dreamer is the output where we bring life, to the work that we do in Nine Expressions.
What I really like in introduction is I was lucky enough to be invited twice for TEDx speaking. And so once I was supposed to describe who I am, and I call myself a story still forming. Because if I just give a definition that, I am say so and so, it feels like a very complete definition. And you very rightly said that we are, as people, are always evolving and always learning and eventually growing as well. So, it's, I would say, futile to just describe ourselves with a complete and a fixed definition, because there are so many things. You absolutely coined it really well that you are a wild dreamer. And, there's the left side and the right side of the brain. I think you decided to utilize both of them to their best capacity. And that's definitely something quite phenomenal. And, I was just wondering how many hours does your clock have? Because the world over is 24, but I guess you have more because there's so much you're doing on your plate. It's truly indeed very inspiring.
Oh, thank
Next to my second question, I wanted you, and I really wanted to think about this. So when we're growing up, of course, then we're in school and then college, or even if, I mean, whoever gets a chance to study further as well, we have a very fixed definition of what productivity is. It could
yeah.
be rote learning, it could be fulfilling and getting marks, it could be being on being on time to school, it could be, and it's sort of like common to everybody, at least till the time we eventually dig deeper into it. But as we actually step into the real world, the definition of productivity changes because suddenly there are no four walls protecting you. You are a wild dreamer in the open space, and you have to literally adapt to the circumstances and eventually create your own definition of productivity. And again, a lot of subjectivity comes here as well because what is productive to you might not be for me, and vice versa. So I wanted to know what was the definition of productivity for you when you were in, I would say, protected by four walls, school, college, etc. And then once you, of course, like a wild stallion, eventually moved out, how did the productivity definition change for you? And was the change quite drastic or was it natural? That's my
Um, you know, eh, I have, let's say I went into the realm, or I discovered the realm of me being a wild dreamer, or the state of me being a wild dreamer, quite early on in life, which means, you know, coming from India, academics, and you know, even coming second is not an option. It's not good enough. You don't get brownie points to be the second or the third. You know, the way the society treats you. Not that I was not clever, or I think we're all clever, we're all intelligent in some or the other form. But as I said, one thing never interested me. There were always, you know, genre of things that always excited me. So let's just say that I was a good student. I was academically good, but I was not the first person in the class. Um, and my mum, I have to give her the credit. I think she is the main catalyst or the main instigator for me to understand that I'm a wild dreamer. So she told me that, you know, this is who I am, which means that not one thing excites me. It's not just the academics. I used to dance pretty much used to take formal Bharatnatyam training pretty much, 7 days a week, used to dance 2 hours a day. I still remember when I was in my physio degree, I used to study Monday to Friday at the university. Saturday, Sunday, I used to travel. You know that there's a train, up Delhi, you might not know. It's a train called Flying Rani that goes from Gujarat to Mumbai. And it used to, and I'm from Surat. Surat is a city in Gujarat. It used to get there about 5:45 something a.m. in the morning. So Saturday morning, I used to take that train, um, uh, go to Mumbai, get down on Bombay Central, and there was a place where I used to do research in Bharatnatyam and study more in Bharatnatyam, take the evening train back from Bombay Central to Surat and reach home at about 11 p.m. So I have, I understood that there were many things that excited me. And one thing that my mom taught me at a very early stage in my life, that if you want real productivity to happen in your life, there's one thing that you have to understand. Your brain can certainly do 1,000 things at once, but at one time, you only focus on one thing, which means if you see my schedule today, it starts at 4 a.m. in the morning and it finishes at 10 p.m. And every, slot has completely different genre. I train for triathlons, I train for half marathons, I do weightlifting, I do dance training, I do acting training, I direct, I become a CEO at some point during the day. I am a medical professional at some point. I've got 2 little kids and I've got a husband. So there's so many hats that I wear. And of course, I love doing my fashion. So, you wear different genres, but at whatever slot of time in life or in day you are, just be that. So when you're a mum and you're cooking dal chawal for your kids, don't think about anything else and you'll be 100% productive in making dal chawal. And when you are writing, or being a CEO of the company, Don't think about your kids. Don't think about have they finished their homework, or don't worry about anything else. Just be that CEO. When you're, you know, a triathlete, athlete, don't worry about what heels you're going to wear in the next party. Just give your best in that race. So when you give that 100%, that's best productivity you can achieve as a human. Otherwise, you become jack of all and master of none. So I learned that very early by my mom. She taught me. And how it changed as I grew, um, I understood the intensity of responsibility, especially women. I mean, I must not say that way because my husband, I must give him credit. He's amazing. He's, you know, a better mum than I am. I sometimes say that, like, you know, he's equally supportive and hands-on dad. But as a woman, you know, things change. You know, no matter how amazing he is, I still had to bear a child in my body for 9 months. Nobody else can do that, you know. So all of these made me understand that um, it does affect your productivity somewhere, and you have to accept it and then pick and choose what's your most priority at the moment and then stick to that.
Wow, I mean that was such a profound way to put together in terms of how productivity as a concept changes. And I think hats off to your mom here, because I think mothers are, I would say, the best teachers in the world, especially because you're learning from them, right at the start when they
Absolutely.
form a small limb as well in their womb. And I
Yes.
also think the most underrated as well, which is a little, I would say, upsetting. I mean,
Yes.
yeah, I think,
I could not, you know, I have no shame in saying that. I love my dad. I love him very much, and he's been till date. He's an amazing mentor for me. You know, I speak to my parents every day. But if I am any, if I think I'm a wild dreamer, not even 1% belongs to me. Everything that I have is 100% given to me by my mom. You know, I couldn't have thought the way I think if I didn't have what she gave me when I was a young girl.
no, definitely. And I think I completely agree with you. I think eventually, because most of the time, at least for adolescent years, and I would say especially even before that, you're literally learning everything from your parents. They are
Yes,
your connects to the outside world. They will tell you the sky is blue, and they'll tell you the clouds literally float in the sky, and that's your education that's happening right there. So I think
that's
parents
correct.
definitely play a huge role, and hats off to your mom that she understood that you'll also be a lady one day, and you'll also be a wild dreamer one day, and she allowed you that space to eventually
Yes,
dream as wildly as possible. Yeah,
absolutely.
I think I should interview her next, depending on how.
Yes,
So yeah, so coming to, of course, taking the conversation forward. Now, of course, when this pandemic hit, none of us really had a rule book in hand. That this is how the pandemic is going to be, and this is what you have to do. Like usually, we have a manual. Even pilots have a manual. God forbid the plane stops flying. But none of us had a manual. And while the pandemic, I think one thing the pandemic has done definitely, it has united all of us, irrespective of where we are, from where we've come and where we might go. But also,
yes,
it has really disturbed in the most, I would say, severe form what we consider the normal life to be. So,
yes,
how has productivity, especially, or creativity, or just, I would say, your wild dreaming, modified or evolved during the pandemic? And what has been the course that you've taken to minimize the impact on yourself in the first? Because there are a lot of people I know who rely on you for inspiration, support, and a lot of other things as well. So, how has your technical productivity evolved, especially during the pandemic?
Well, let me give 100% honest answer to this question, and I'm hoping that this will, you know, help if there's anybody out there who is not feeling the best, or you know, whatever. Just about a week before the restrictions came on the Gold Coast, you know, to cut down the number of gatherings and the number of people together and stuff like that. And when the cases started getting more on the Gold Coast and in Queensland, just a week before our latest theatre production was going to go live, the tickets were sold. You know, all the marketing was done, all, you know, all the effort, all the hard yards, the big rehearsals, everything was done. We were literally a week away. And when we got the news, officially we had postponed it, like cancelled it. At the moment, it's cancelled. It'll happen whenever. I mean, I don't know the date yet. But, you know, it was heartbreaking. It was really heartbreaking because, you know, I'm sure you would understand, to bring a theatrical production, which is new work, you know, which is original work, it takes hell lot of work. You know, it was almost about a year worth of work that you put in for 3 shows, you know, from storytelling, story writing, music, this, that, all sorts of things. Anyways, I had to surrender. There was no option. So we cancelled it. I was still praying. We didn't put it out on the social media and all our web channels and stuff for at least for like last 2-3 days. I was still holding on because, as you said, nobody had seen pandemic before. So I was hoping that this will somehow dissipate, or something will happen, some magic will happen, or the government will say, no, the things are under control, and, you know, it'll all be fine. You know, I was still holding on to it, hoping some miracle would happen. And obviously nothing happened. Yes. And we cancelled, and we started refunding the ticket prices, you know, the ticket that people had bought and stuff, things like that. So 21st of the March were the shows. 20th and 21st of March, my worst days. I felt like, you know, how most of ambitious people, or people who really want to deliver something, feel. I felt like I've not completed something. I was really angry. I don't know, something happened. And because thanks that I have a medical profession as well, so I had to be in the loop of working, which helped. But suddenly, instead of working 20 hours a day, I was only working 10 hours a day. Weekends were my weekends. Like, you know, Saturday, Sunday, there were no rehearsals, no meetings. So all I was doing is 8 to 5 job, Monday to Friday. Suddenly I have tons of time. You know, evenings are mine. I started spending more time with kids, my husband. We, you know, weekends, we were all home and we were enjoying the blue skies and the green, you know, trees. And we live by the water, and we've got a deck. And we've been in this house for many years now. And I think for the first time, I actually appreciated that deck and the water that I live on, literally. I mean, you know, I pay for this, but I I had no time to look at that water and that beautiful tree and, you know, everything that's outside. Suddenly something clicked. You know, it's like a, I don't know the word, um, it's almost like, you know, that that euphoric, or, you know, that moment where I felt like, oh my god, it's like a forced shutdown of the system. Go and reflect on everything that you've done. And of course we all do mistakes, of course we all have taken wrong decisions, of course we've done some really good things, all of us, you know, we all do some good things, bad things, wrong things, unintentional things. And because we're so busy in life, you know, back to back, we don't even have time to reflect on it. All we do is, the mistakes that we've done is not going to be good for the next one, like, you know, productivity wise, you understand that quickly, sort it out and jump. You don't have any time to reflect, heal, and do stuff. Suddenly I got that time. I love reading books, but I don't have enough time to read as much as I would like. Suddenly I saw that I had stack of books that I had read. I was cooking. I love cooking. I used to love cooking when I was, you know, a young girl, like, you know, back home. And suddenly I'm making all these amazing gulab jamuns and jalebis and imartis, and, you know, my kids are loving it, and, you know, all of this is happening. I had more time, like, you know, my husband and we go for schedule. I mean, it looks very funny, sounds very funny, but we go for scheduled date nights, because you have to, you know, make sure that part's going okay, because when your lives are so busy, you have to schedule things. So we have this fortnightly to 3-weekly, you know, date nights that we go. We couldn't go out, so we started doing weekly date nights at home. Like, you know, it was so much fun. And I am much more happier. Not that not that I've never been happier, but I'm really happy. Like, COVID has, I know it's brought lots of destruction to the world, but to me, it has got so much more happiness.
Spend time with yourself.
Yes, yes. And I would really, I know it's hard. You feel, especially the way our brains are conditioned to always be productive, always be on something. We feel that FOMO, that we're missing out on something. But believe me, we're not missing out on anything. Like, this was like the best time that I had. Like, I think it was 2 months or something that we had the restrictions. And the best time. And I think I am more productive, I'm more creative now, I'm more content, and I've understood that pace is important, but I need to make sure that that pace is not affecting the everything else around me. So I've learned to prioritize everything a bit more, in a bit more efficiently than I had before COVID.
So I think yeah, that's been a very, I would say, very thoughtful way to put the whole thing together, because it's true, we have got some time, and something which I keep thinking about is that the skies are so blue, and I have a massive sky fetish. I love blue skies. You show me blue
Yes,
skies, and literally all my frowns will turn into smiles. But I was just thinking, like, all our life, we kept looking forward that, that's the next agenda, that's the next milestone, that's the next thing. We never looked up. The moment you look up, suddenly the sky just allows you to
that's
stop for a second, appreciate what you've got, because this is such a rarity in Delhi. I mean, I'm pointing to my roof right now, but the blue sky is quite a rarity in Delhi, because unfortunately, Delhi is a very polluted city, and I mean, I don't even know what to say. It's like it is just packed with stuff. But yeah, I was in London for a year for my post graduation, and I mean, I remember just lying on the grass sometimes, especially when you were in Green Park or Richmond Park, and just looking at the sky, because London skies are to die for. And for the
yes,
first time, I'm seeing something similar in Delhi, and literally,
yes,
and I have been, I mean, as you rightfully said, as somebody who's very ambitious, somebody, who's trying to do something of their own, and even sitting at the helm of a very, I would say, auto-tuned operation right now, you still are very much involved no matter what you do. So you're
yes,
continuously worried about a lot of things, which this time, despite being quite worrisome in the first couple of months, it eventually taught me that, see, I don't have control over the pandemic, but I do have control over, how I react to it, or how I
yes,
actually channelize my. I've been writing more, and I've been cycling more, and I am happier. It's just
yes,
because I was not looking immediately that the next five things I have to do, but looking way beyond and looking up as well. Right.
yes. Oh, look, I honestly, I understand the devastation that it has
Yeah.
brought all around the globe, and very sad about that. But internally, for myself, um, I have never been much happier than I am right now. So thanks to COVID for that.
I think if, and of course, completely acknowledging the devastation. That's what I said. Like, if this can teach us something in the end,
Yes,
and eventually also allow us to give our mental health the right priority and the right time and the dedication it requires, then why not?
yes,
Why can't we take it as a lesson, right? Even cancer eventually teaches you a lot. If eventually, like, I am a
of
cancer
course.
survivor. I dealt with cancer when I was at a very young age. Eventually, completely came out of it cured and survived it as well. But though I will never wish cancer upon anybody, not even my worst enemy, but I also acknowledge that cancer was one of the most powerful teachers I had in my life.
Of
It taught
course.
me
Yes,
so much. So
yes. Something that doesn't break you makes you stronger.
true, but very interesting. A lot to learn there. A little bit, let's dilute and make it a little bit more, I would say, lofty now. I want you to tell me your five. So, because you mentioned,
Yes.
you read books, and of course, you're a massively creative person. So, basically, what five would be is one song that, really pumps you up and gets you going, one food that maybe makes you miss home, or it's just your sweet tooth, or, like, it just makes the world really a much better place. One that you vouch for and completely, you know, I would say will always have it really close to your heart. One, one movie, of course, which again it would be your favorite for whatever reason. And last would be one quote or words by somebody that really stuck by you. So if you want, I can go one by one again, or if you remember them, of course.
Well, I'll tell you what all I remember.
Yeah.
So the song that makes me go, or keeps me going, or starts me. It really depends what you want me to start on. Like, if I'm running, it's a different song. If I'm crying, it's a different song. But the one that really motivates me, or whenever I go on stage to give a speech, or to direct, or to dance, or to act, there's something that when I get a bit afraid, or the normal humanly thing comes, I remember a poem that my dad tells me every time, and that is, है कौन विघ्न ऐसा जग में जो टिक सके आदमी के मग में मानव जब जोर लगाता है पत्थर पानी बन जाता है. That's something. So every time when I am stuck somewhere, I say those two lines in my head, and it keeps me going. It pushes me. So that's my song or poem or whatever you say. The book that changed my life, actually I read that book. I've read fair few books in life, not as many as I would love to read. But a book that really affected me, and I highly recommend if anyone's listening to this, I read it during this pandemic, and the name of the book is The Courage to be Disliked. It is by Professor, I had to screenshot his name, I don't want to pronounce it incorrectly. It's Ichiro Kishimi and Fumitake Koga. I think they're Japanese writers and professors. And the name of the book is Courage to be Disliked. One of the best books. It's about Elderian psychology and Freud. It's all about that. It's a beautiful book that's changed my life completely. My indulgence, again, it really depends what we're getting into, but my all-time favorite is dal chawal, just plain dal chawal.
Irrespective of whom I spoken to, and of course, if they have Indian roots, how many people have stuck to dal chawal, and I just realize that how comforting that particular food item.
Oh my God! If I go anywhere for holiday or whatever, and you'd eat all sorts of cuisines, everything's available, but I have to come home, and the first thing I cook is dal chawal. And if I have a bit of keri ka achar and papad, I mean, that's it. That's all what I want in my life. That's my favorite. Then you
expect that people, that you always expect, somebody might say, I like this quiche, or, I like this particular Lebanese hummus or something, but then usually people come back and say dal chawal, and it just...
I know. I mean, I love lots of different food. I am vegetarian, but there's so many choices in this world. But dal chawal is my favorite.
Okay. So we left then, and a quote.
Yes. Movie, again, there's so many movies. It's hard to say. The romantic side of me is the movie that I saw when I was really, really young, is Pyar To Hona Hi Tha, the Ajay Devgan and Kajol one. Yes. So I still remember I used to sing all the time the songs, Jasbinder Narula song. So that was my favorite, romantic kind of movie. But the movie that really left a big impression on me, we saw one recently, the Zookeeper's Wife. I don't know if you've seen it. Yes. So that was, movies like I've seen, like Mandela. There's so many, Shawshank Redemption. There's so many nice movies that tells you that there are such amazing people on this earth, and you still have lots to go ahead. Keep going. That kind of thing. Don't give up. Yes. And
highly recommended one as well.
Yes, it's beautiful movie. Beautiful, must watch. Yes, power to humanity. The last one you said is the quote. Again, you come across so many amazing things, but one that I learned at very young age again, I used to tell my mom, I wish I was more luckier or something. And the quote that I was given at that time was, luck's the dividend of sweat. The more you sweat, the luckier you become. So that has kind of stuck to my head always. I can't help myself but work hard, So that's my favorite one.
Beautiful. I think a lot of lessons, and I would indeed say an education right there. Okay, this brings to my last question. I know that considering you start working at 4 and end at 10, you still have a lot of work left on your end. But I just wanted, of course, considering that you are in a position to influence people. And of course, a lot of people do look up to you for inspiration. And also, eventually, I feel it's very important to share wisdom and, of course, anything that has really worked for you. So there was one thing, and I'm not necessarily wanting it to be inspiring. If there was one thing, like one message that you wanted all our listeners and all our viewers and your followers to listen to it as well, what would be that one message that you would like to conclude this conversation with?
Well, firstly, I don't think I'm any influencer, and I'm saying it right from my bottom of my heart. I don't really think I am anybody. But if you think that you get any inspiration from me, all I would say is be you. Just be you, just be at it. Whatever you're doing, whatever you pursue in your life, whether you just, you mowing the lawn, or, you're cutting the grass, or you're cooking food, or you making a rocket, or you're doing an operation in the theater, or you're acting, dancing, writing, whatever it is, just be you. Take pride in your ride. We all make mistakes. We're all full of mistakes. Forgive yourself, forgive others, and just be at it.
God, such simplicity and such profoundness right there. Well, thank you so, so much, Aarti. It's been an education to have this conversation with you. And of course, your work is lauded all over the world. And I'm really glad that Baatein community will also be able to get, I would say, access to these wise words and this wise conversation. Thank you so, so much for joining us on this conversation today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here, and I wish all the very best to all your amazing endeavors that you pursuing, and it's my honor. Thank you.
Thank